Karl Jobst is absolutely in no way different than Mudahart, than Pirate Software, than honestly any of these pitiful small losers who want to desperately make you believe that they are powerful, that they are great, that they are smart, and that you should look up to them. Now, don't get me wrong, Billy Mitchell, needless to say, is not a saint. He's barely a decent human being, and that's even under question, honestly. He's a liar and everything else. We know this. But Karl Jobst is honestly unique in this. This is Karl's final goodbye video to the Billy Mitchell saga, and it is 1 hour 53 minutes long. And I have watched all of this. We're not going to watch all of it, but let me give you the quick summary how absolutely pitiful this video is. There are so many ways to summarize this because Karl is just insane. If you want to watch the most spicy parts, you can you can just go watch this video starting from like 1 minute of 12, 1 minute and 10, where Karl Jobst is unironically saying, well, you see, the judge presiding over my case is an absolute knuckle-dragging, mouth-breather loser, idiot who completely did not understand anything. My counsel, my lawyers, did not present the evidence I told them to, and they said we're not gonna do that because I know everything better than them. This whole video can effectively be summarized Karl forcing himself to say, I lost, but, you know, actually, not really. This is the whole video. This is one of the most pitiful things I have ever seen in my life, and it's absolutely fantastic because of it. Oh my god, Karl is absolutely the third generational lolcow. Obviously, nothing's gonna beat Pirate Software. He is the king of lolcows. Muda is currently a hot second. And Karl's a shadow runner right there, boys, okay? He has potential. He has potential. And I know Karl is going to say this is the last video, but it's not. You know it's not. And a lot of things, by the way, about this are... all of them are legal. But all of them are so sus. You're going to see what I mean. But in any case... we're not going to have to even wait 2 minutes for Karl to already be a petty loser about the situation and say, I lost, but not really. So let's watch. It's glorious. It's just pitifully glorious.
Legends. This is it.
Oh, sorry.
Hello, you absolute legends. This is it. This is the end of an era. This is hopefully the last video I make concerning my lawsuit or even Billy Mitchell. When I
No one believes that.
made my previous video regarding the result of the lawsuit, I was still actively looking into appealing the decision, which meant going back into court was a real possibility. And for that reason, unfortunately, I couldn't really say everything I wanted to say. And I also couldn't take as much accountability as I really wanted to because it may have
Which is a lie. I don't know, I don't remember where exactly. Oh, right, we're not gonna get to this, but Karl is literally using Moist Critical and saying, Moist Critical supported me, guys. I'm in the right. You can't make it up. And then one other place here, Karl is actually trying to rewrite history and say, oh no, Billy Mitchell actually lied what the lawsuit was about. Not me. I didn't say it was about cheating in video games. Bruh, it's just, Karl is a pitiful worm. There's nothing else to be said about this.
have hurt my case, but ultimately I did not end up appealing the decision, so everything is now final and I am able to comment freely. In the last 2 months, a lot has been...
Also, this is gonna be... I can't. There's so much preload to this. This video is also gonna be so spiteful. He's gonna use every possibility he has to call Billy an idiot, while Karl lost. He's gonna call Billy the idiot here so much because he lost. You cannot make this up. It's just the most spiteful thing ever. And honestly, I think we're gonna have more of these because at this point, Karl has spoiler alert, he has declared bankruptcy. So effectively, nothing worse can happen to him than that. Maybe the judge can do something, because if he sees this video where Karl is openly saying the judge is stupid for believing Billy, maybe that can have some repercussions on him, but even that I really doubt. I mean, we all heard the judge say that Karl is an insane individual who literally cannot take accountability of any kind and constantly is pompously trying to say that he's right about everything. And this video just proves this.
Going on behind the scenes as a result of the decision. And in this video, I'm going to tell you everything. Regardless of whether or not you care about the
Yes, the truth.
lawsuit or Billy Mitchell, there are important questions that I think supporters of me or this channel deserve to know. For example, does any of the money this channel earns go to Billy? Exactly how much money do I owe Billy? How much money will Billy actually get? Will Billy's win inspire even more lawsuits? These questions will be
Oh yeah, he's also gonna try to make himself out to be the hero as an, oh, because I lost to Billy, now Billy is not gonna sue anyone. The judge is stupid. The judge is stupid. Karl lost on every claim, but Billy is still the idiot because Karl lost somehow. And now Karl is a self-proclaimed Jesus figure because he stopped Billy from suing anyone else. Again, Billy's an idiot, but still, at the end of the day.
Answered, and many more. There have been hundreds of videos made about me in the past few months, and thousands upon thousands of comments. Yet I haven't seen or
I love how Karl has actually watched some of them. You can see the red bar.
heard a single person talk about what is really going on accurately, which is totally
Yes, only Karl can tell you what is true.
understandable, because this is a very complex situation, and it is frankly impossible for anyone to know what is happening, because you would need to be an expert in Australian law, you would need to know my exact financial position and what I own and how I run my business, and you would also...
So Karl is gonna once again explain everything how it really is. It is just pitiful.
need to be an expert on Australian bankruptcy law. Basically, you would need to be my lawyer, and I'm pretty sure most of you out there aren't. That's not your fault.
Well, your lawyer's not really that good considering you fucking lost horribly.
But rather than having 100 videos speculating or even proclaiming things as fact that couldn't be further from the truth, I'm just going to lay everything out there. I know a lot of people are curious about what is happening, and I am more than happy to provide you with everything you would like to know, especially given that many people aren't happy with how I wasn't clear enough during the lawsuit. So now everyone will know everything, and
by the way, again, notice how he says that. He's putting the responsibility of Karl himself lying and misrepresenting what the lawsuit was about on you. A lot of people were unhappy with how clear I was about what this lawsuit is about. Well, sucks to suck if you were unhappy. That's what that sentence is.
then I am happy to move on forever. For the past 4 years, I have been in denial. Billy's lawsuit against me alleged that I accused Billy of being a major contributing factor in Apollo Legends' decision to take his own life, and I have always denied that, both in my legal defense and publicly. I would pick apart the exact words that I used and argued that I never technically said that, and if anyone did come away...
This is gonna be Karl saying, I was wrong, and later in this video it's gonna be, this wrong doesn't feel like he actually means it.
From my statements with the impression that Billy was in some way responsible, then it was their fault for adding meaning to my words that weren't there. I didn't want to believe I implied what the lawsuit accused me of implying for two main reasons. Firstly, it would have been terrible for my defense if it were true, and the thought of losing the lawsuit was something I couldn't bear to deal with. And secondly, it's a disgusting and terrible thing to imply. Regardless of whether or not I believed what I said to be true at the time, which I did, and even if the facts I presented were...
There are so many layers to what he is saying that, I mean, I need to write this sentence down, and literally every second word is somehow an egocentric thing.
correct, which was that Apollo had to pay a large sum of money in his settlement
Not actually factually true. Apollo Legends did not need to do that at the end. That was not a part of the thing. But listen,
I presented were correct, which were that
not true.
Apollo had to pay a large sum of money in his settlement, which put him into debt, I still had no justification for making the connection between Billy and Apollo's suicide. Apollo never suggested it himself, and the evidence doesn't point to it. I held on to the belief that I did not make that claim all the way through the lawsuit, and even after the judge's verdict, which ruled that I did make that claim, I refused to accept it. I was fully intending on appealing, and referred my case to a much more experienced and much more expensive lawyer for his opinion, and I fully expected him to confirm my belief and tell me that the judge was wrong. But he didn't. He told me that I did imply that, and it was defamatory. And in fact, he outright refused to appeal the decision even though I wanted to, because I simply had no case. Now that the lawsuit has been over for a couple—
Dude, that lawyer is probably made of gold, because imagine convincing Karl that he shouldn't do something, that he's wrong about something. That guy already needs to get some kind of humanitarian award.
Of months, and I no longer have a vested interest in being correct, it has allowed me to finally accept that in this instance, Billy wasn't lying and his lawsuit against me was not unjust.
By the way, that sentence. Since no longer I have any benefit in Billy being wrong, now I will kinda admit that Billy was right. Since lying no longer is beneficial for me. That's the sentence. That's the sentence if you break it down. And this is the whole damn video. This is 2 hours of non-stop narcissism.
I defamed Billy. My actions were unacceptable, and that's why he won. Now, to be clear, this doesn't mean that Billy didn't also lie a lot, even in court. And it doesn't mean I actually caused him hundreds of thousands of dollars in damage.
Listen, Karl, the fact that the court case happened and you had a chance in court to prove that Billy was lying, and you did not. You, for some reason, did not and could not prove these things. Now you're waiting until it's outside of court, and now you're proving that Billy was a liar? And saying that the judge is an idiot to believe what Billy has said? Seriously? Seriously?
Like the judge asserted. And it doesn't mean I didn't also have a valid defense that I could have possibly won on. But just in principle, I was at fault. My actions—
At principle, I was kinda maybe at fault, God. Am I the only one listening to this and completely losing my shit, boys? Please tell me I'm not alone.
Were wrong, and to be quite honest, after the dust has settled, I now personally believe I should have lost the lawsuit. However, I still think the damages awarded were far, far too high. Hopefully this result can have a positive impact on the broader community by forcing people to think twice about making claims about things they aren't privy to or have very good evidence for. I can certainly tell you that for me personally, though it was a very expensive and tough lesson to learn, my channel and my investigative work improved dramatically after I got sued. And in the long run, it would have been a very worthwhile experience for me to have gone through. In saying
You can't think. I can.
that, I have allowed my—
And by the way, he's showing the completion. There is a video about what's it called? Again, I forgot the name. The people who do the books. That one. Showing how Karl's and Muda's research into the completionist is not legally binding. By the way, exactly as I said, it's not. Exactly as I said it's not, which people had a lot of issues with. Because I said, this is not that easy, guys. Vindicated once again, boys. Man, what a year.
Feelings towards Billy negatively affect my judgment at every step of the way. I think Billy is a terrible person. I think he sues innocent people. I think he is a cheater and a compulsive liar. But that does not mean I can say and do whatever I want in response. 2 wrongs don't make a right. Billy can lie all he wants, but I shouldn't let his actions affect my own moral compass. And once I realized I was wrong back in 2020, 2021, my retraction should have been far better. Again, at the time, I was in denial and I didn't want to believe my mistake was that severe, so I felt as though making a retraction at all was sufficient, and I really did want the video with the retraction in it to get a lot of views. But it really should have been its own video, and not placed at the end of a separate video. I don't think all retractions...
We watched that video, okay? Karl is completely just twisting and lying about it. It didn't even have a bookmark for it. It didn't have anything. It's just... Nah, it's just... see, his retraction is even after a fade to black, and it's not even a good one.
Need to be in a separate video, but considering the severity of my mistake, which I now acknowledge, in hindsight, it really should have been its own video. Even the retraction itself wasn't very good either. I only apologized for making a factual error about the details of the settlement, and I just denied there were any further more serious implications. And I also took the opportunity to continue to criticize Billy while I was at it. In Billy's response video, he said that I was accusing him of murder, which is of course hyperbolic and ridiculous. So that also made me less inclined to make a...
It's not hyperbolic at all! I watched the video! You blatantly said... Karl, we watched the video! You blatantly said that Billy is responsible for murder! What do you mean? This whole video is just such a poor fucking attempt at rewriting history.
Proper retraction, which again is wrong. Billy is always going to say stupid shit. It shouldn't affect my own actions. I made a mistake, I wronged Billy, so I should have owned up to it completely and with integrity. I also completely mishandled the way I communicated to the public in regards to the lawsuit. Obviously, I was intentionally choosing not to disclose what the lawsuit was about. I even said this
Which he lied, by the way. Again, when people found out that Billy won and what the lawsuit was about, Karl said, oh, this was always a thing. I always said this. And now here he is saying, oh, I never said any of that.
multiple times, so it wasn't exactly a secret. Normally, I'd give you...
Again, yeah, this is just a rewrite of history. If anyone who has paid attention, if you're new and you don't know anything about this, just know it's a rewrite of history. Everyone who has paid attention to this knows that this is a rewrite of history.
A full breakdown of this kind of thing, but because this one involves me, I'm going to keep my cards a lot closer to my chest. What I will tell you is that I am being sued for defamation, and the amount of damages being sought is $450,000. I will definitely be giving you updates as we go.
Yes, this is just a small part of it, by the way. He's not mentioning about cheating in video games that he mentions multiple times throughout other videos. None of that. Just, just none of that casually. It's insane.
But I don't want to give out too many details or strategies before I use them in court. Billy Mitchell is referring to the YouTuber Apollo Legend, who tragically took his own life in December of 2020. I won't go into specifics about this particular point because it does relate to his ongoing lawsuit against me. I didn't want to talk about it because what I said was wrong, and I was afraid to repeat it. However, if I didn't want to make it clear to everyone exactly...
Afraid to repeat... Okay. Let me break down this sentence. I said a lie that benefits me in the eyes of the public, but now but at some point I understood that that's a lie, but I didn't bring it up and say that I was wrong. Because why exactly, Karl? Because you were afraid that you are gonna lose support if you bring up the fact that you were incorrect about something? Yes, that's what it sounds like. Again, this video is just... Listening to this video... I mean, I lost it so hard listening to all of this video. It's just full of lies and pettiness.
What the lawsuit was about, I shouldn't have turned it into this giant public spectacle. The truth is, I did want as many people to know about the lawsuit as possible because I legitimately thought I had a good chance of winning. I was not willing to concede on any issues whatsoever or entertain the opposite viewpoint. To put it bluntly, I was deluded. It's very easy to see this now, after the fact. However, it would be very difficult for many people to understand what it is like to be a defendant in a lawsuit, let alone one that was this complex. Again, just because I made a mistake in one
Yes, because this was like one of the most complex lawsuits in history. They're gonna write books about this, boys. Again, Coddle's just lying about this. He's adding extra oomph to the story because, but at this point, he can get away with anything. That is the brutal reality of this. And by the way, this is a great video that explains to you why suing someone is useless. Because Coddle actually did find some accountant that was really good. Probably not a mob accountant. Probably. But, dude, Billy is not getting shit from this lawsuit, obviously. The only people who got paid were the lawyers. Coddle currently is penniless, and if something bad happens to his life will be over. But effectively, in 3 years, all of his debts are going to be erased, and it's going to be pretty much that. By the way, this is my legal defense. If anyone wants to sue me, I have access. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but I have access to a mob accountant, ex-mob accountant for brevity's sake, by the way, who has spent 5 years in prison for, well, not initially legally doing things. That person was trained by the American equivalent would be FBI, how to look into rules and avoid them when it comes to money and stuff. He spent 5 years in prison, and now he has a firm that does, all the legal stuff with money that one may want to completely avoid almost any problems in their lives. And he makes a shit ton, and I have access to that guy. Oh boy. So, if anyone wants to sue me, you're not getting a single fucking penny. All of my money is already fucking gone. These games are insane. These games are insane. And Coddle played them. One of the big things, because I don't know if we're gonna go that far into, but one of the things is Coddle, Billy fucked up here big because he did not sue Coddle's he did not sue Coddle's company. Most YouTubers have a company that they work with and then they get paid. That's how the money gets handled. So if you don't sue the company, aka Coddle's YouTube channel, you're not going to get a lot of it there. So effectively, one of the things that's currently happening, which Coddle explains in a very stupid way because he doesn't understand anything, is the fact that he sold his half of his YouTube channel, aka the company, to his wife because they were in a 50-50 split for 170,000, which, by the way, in my opinion, that's criminal. A 1 million sub channel that's getting like roughly 500k views per video for 50% of that only for 170,000. That's bullshit. That is absolutely bull. And the fact that he sold his company to his wife, but she is legally allowed to. And again, this is pretty much like mob fucking tactics to a degree. He doesn't really have an income for Billy to take. So he's never gonna be in a job position where he makes enough money for the next 3 years where Billy can even take a cent from him. Because all of the money that he's gonna be making on the YouTube channel is gonna go to his wife. Well, a part of it is gonna go to him. He's gonna still be an employee on the channel, but I mean, his salary is never gonna exceed anything that the court allows Billy to take, which is insane. So again, lawsuits typically, unless you're trying to get someone in jail, lawsuits for the sake of getting money are never gonna get you money unless you sue a literal multi-millionaire. Someone 1-0 higher than Karl Jobst. It's not anything else is just a waste of time. You're just gonna put yourself you're just gonna ruin yourself effectively.
I said originally, that doesn't mean Billy automatically wins. Defamation cases aren't that simple. I don't blame myself for fighting as hard as I did or believing that I would win, because I think that is a pretty natural tendency for most people to have in my position. But I had way too much hubris. I took a huge gamble and it backfired. Now I look like an idiot. The situation was pretty crazy though, and is definitely not something you can prepare for psychologically or emotionally until it happens. The entire lawsuit was extremely stressful, and I was trying to deal with it in the bravest way possible. Even though I thought I would win, that didn't
I was brave, guys. Lying to you was very brave.
Make the ordeal any less stressful or tormenting, because you never know for sure what's going to happen. I never personally lied about what the lawsuit was about, but I was obviously negligent in some way, given how many people had the wrong impression.
I never lied, but somehow 99.9% people got the different impression. It happens. It's your fault, in fact.
My most egregious error was showing news articles about the lawsuit and a news clip which were incorrectly reporting on the lawsuit. I thought it made for good content, and it was interesting to see what the news was saying, so that's why I wanted to show it. But I either shouldn't have shown what the news was saying.
Yeah, let's ignore that you yourself, Coddle, said similar statements. That he's a cheater, Billy's a cheater, and I will prove that he's a cheater, and blah blah blah. Not quotes, but kind of that.
At all, or I should have specifically clarified that it was incorrect if I did. And to be clear, I did not search out incorrect reporting to intentionally mislead people. Clearly, showing a clip and not correcting it is misleading, and I fully appreciate how wrong that is now, but at the time there was simply no correct reporting on the lawsuit whatsoever. Everyone was reporting on it wrong. I wanted to show what the news was saying, but every single news article or post about it was wrong. I wasn't trying to do something nefarious, it was just stupid and thoughtless, and I didn't give my audience enough consideration or respect to make sure they weren't confused. And for that, I am deeply sorry. Now, let's talk about money. The total amount of damages plus interest in the judgment of the lawsuit was $390,000. In this video, I'm going to be using Australian dollars, but whenever I mention a figure, I will also place the amount in US dollars in the top right of the screen to make things easier for those in the US. The judgment isn't all that I would...
Yeah, this is kind of just what I said. Coddle is not going to be able... he declared bankruptcy. Declaring bankruptcy doesn't seem like a big deal to a lot of people, but it is. Most people, and I say most people, some are gonna argue, no, if you declared bankruptcy, no bank is gonna give you money. Bro, I know a guy who declared bankruptcy 5 times, and banks are still giving him money when he comes to them. Okay, listen, don't give me that shit. Okay, I live in the real world. You can live in your fairy fucking tale. I just got my degree from a school and I don't know shit about life, okay? Fuck off. But Coddle is probably one of those people. No bank will ever again actually issue him a loan or anything like that. So if Coddle ever wants to actually own a business, it's pretty much impossible, except YouTube. But an actual business, impossible. Only a YouTube style of business is going to be affordable to him. He's going to have problems with bankruptcy has extreme minuses. But declaring bankruptcy does mean that your loans are forgiven after a period of time. Because that's kind of how it's meant to be. And this is the whole thing. Coddle is not losing his house. Coddle is not losing anything, effectively. It's just the fact that in the future, he's not going to be able to do a lot of things associated with money, trust, governments, and the banking system. That's kind of how it goes here, so we're going to skip this part. And Billy's effectively getting nothing because he's an idiot.
We are going to talk. I saved the best statement for last, because in my opinion, if this is real, if he was sued, he lost.
Oh, this is Lus. Lus is a complete moron. You should ignore any... Whenever you see a channel named Lus, just ignore it.
Report me to the Australian government. I know this.
This is about people wanting him to... By the way, we watched that. I agree with that. Because from the Discord messages, the way that Coddle said, it does seem shady. And again, the fact that Coddle's YouTube channel effectively got sold for 200k is bullshit. Listen, I would have offered 220k for 50% of ownership of Karl's channel. I would get a bank loan and we would be living the good life. But no, Karl's wife actually had the ability to buy it for 170, which is insane.
because the bankruptcy trustee told me. But of course, nothing happened.
Yeah, so nothing happened. Karl's completely off scot-free on those accounts.
People believe misinformation, whether intentional or not, and then use that misinformation to form such a terrible opinion of me. At least when I made my videos on the completionist, they weren't just based on a few Discord messages.
I mean, listen, again, this is how arrogant Karl is. Honestly, I should watch all of this, but nah, we're not gonna do that. But listen, Karl's whole fucking defense of what Billy's lawsuit effectively was one Reddit post. Karl, do not try and tell me anything about being an idiot. Your whole defense was almost based on one single goddamn Reddit post that literally was like, trust me, bro. We saw the court hearing, the documents, where it literally said, where you literally said, well, I shouldn't use the word literally here, but where you pretty much said, oh yeah, I saw it on Reddit. and that's your reasoning for believing it. Karl is just such a petty loser. It is absolutely insane, boys.
With my wife, so I'm allowed to keep it. Realistically, unless something drastically changes, the only money the trustees will get from me is money making exercise.
Yeah, and Billy again. Billy has lost money, by the way. I think that's where we're gonna end. Billy is probably minus 300k at this point because of the lawsuit. Again, win lawsuit, be minus 300k. Pretty sucks to suck. And if that is, by the way, implying if Karl actually can give him more money back than he already has. Billy got some money, but at the end of the day, remember, unless you want someone to go to prison, jail, or whatever, then suing is not the right option unless that's a multi-millionaire who actually has money to lose. Suing a normal person? Completely useless. Completely useless. Anyway, that was Karl Jobst 10 out of 10. Bye.